cannot believe that Toyota.
Contact! Bobby Labonte's over! It's the big wreck on the final lap!
You've seen crazy accidents. You've seen crazy wrecks. But very few stand out as much as Bobby Labonte in the 2001 E8 Sports 500. What do you think?
I would completely agree with you. That wreck and all those cars involved, that was a ginormous wreck at Talladega. And I would say one of Talladega's probably one of violent crashes ever in NASCAR history.
Definitely showed, but the funny thing is Bobby Labonte did not take the hardest hit in that wreck. Actually, we're going to go back and we're going to show you the wreck from different angles, and we're also going to show you the in-car from a driver who probably sustained the hardest hit. What do you think?
Well, by the looks of the wreck, I mean, it looked like Labonte would have had the worst, I guess, worst looking crash, but it actually wasn't. But watching his car flip and stuff was just crazy. I mean, these cars, when they flip like that, that's really just amazing. But yeah.
A lot of the drivers was pretty irritated after the race on this wreck. And the reason why they were so irritated is because 2001, there were so many different rule changes going on, especially on the super speedway packages, and especially with the restrictor plates and things like that. And in this situation, I mean, this was one of the reasons why. I mean, you had great pack racing the entire race, but the angle from Bobby Labonte. Now, Bobby Labonte, I mean, he kind of brought this one on himself, not purposely. This was just a matter of racing is racing.
Yeah.
And you're racing in a pack, and you're racing at over 200 miles an hour. Yes, they used to go 200 miles an hour at Talladega. And that was was nuts about this is Bobby Labonte ran up front. He ran good this entire race.
Watching him on with the white flag, one to go, like Labonte, I mean, Junior definitely had the fastest car, but Labonte looked to be in good shape until the 20 went with the 8. And that kind of shook everything up. And it's funny, as they wrecked, I don't know what announcer it was, but you could hear him, I can't believe the 20. And he was fixing to say with the 8, but that's when that crash happened.
I think that was Wally Dallenbach, because they were saying, so it was Bobby Labonte, Dale Jr., it was Tony Stewart, it was Jeff Burton, and it was Bobby Hamilton.
Yep. And
coming up with 2 to go, Bobby Labonte, I mean, he had a good lead. And I mean, if you go back and you're watching this race, I mean, this is when Talladega was Talladega. I mean, yes, there was pack racing, but I mean, the spread on the cars, you wasn't running 4 wide constantly. Yeah. And that move that Dale Jr. made at the line, taking the white flag, was incredible. And Bobby Labonte, I think he just kind of felt like a sitting duck, because I think Bobby Labonte even knew Tony Stewart was going to go with him, and he didn't.
And that was probably the most shocking part was, I mean, like I said, everybody knew, well, their teammates, they're going to go together. But like you said in our last video, Tony Stewart and Dale Jr. always worked really well together. And, ultimately that's what helped them in the end. But yeah, I mean, watching that whole ordeal play out was really cool to see. And yes, the racing at Talladega was just so much better, more exciting. And when they went 4 wide once or twice throughout the race, it was such a big deal.
Oh, well, a lot of drivers, again, they were pretty irritated, not just about this wreck, but they're irritated about this race. And Mark Martin, he said the following week, he said that the driver, the fans are not going to accept anything less. Now, you fed them a little bit, and well, let's just hear it out of his mouth, right?
We've already given the product to the fans. They're not going to accept anything less. They want to show like what they saw.
Yeah. So, and I think Mark Martin is 100% correct. I remember, I was 15 years old watching this race in person.
Well, plus, I mean, like you said, you see that, you want more of it. You're like, okay, Talladega's coming. They always say, well, the big one hasn't happened yet. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but most of the time, there's always something big going on, crashing wise. But yeah, Mark Martin was one of them, and Jeff Burton, Sterling Marlin, most everybody in that race that was either involved in the crash or somehow snuck out of the crash had something to say negative about it.
Bobby Hamilton he definitely had a good attitude about it. One of the things that I thought was amazing watching this wreck was points leader Jeff Gordon and how he managed to get through that. That wreck happened literally right in front of him.
It doesn't. I mean, it's Jeff Gordon. What else are you gonna expect? But that was my first thought. I'm like, it's Jeff Gordon. It's gonna happen.
Mhm.
But yeah, he stunk out of it. Watching his in-car cameras, really. I mean, he's like, he barely made it. Watching all those cars just basically get slingshotted, either into the wall or upside down.
Mhm.
Yeah, he was able to sneak out of there, and I think he got 7th. He
Yes.
finished 7th in the race. But
Well, coming to the white flag, Junior bolts low and takes the lead. Tony Stewart goes with him. You hear a spotter, 20's with you, 20's with you.
mm,
And Labonte goes high, and Hamilton starts to make a move. Hamilton goes to make a move, and Labonte starts getting, I mean, he's up close to the wall, and he tries.
he's loose before he even.
Oh, yeah, and if you
looks
go
like
back
he's
and
fixing
watch
to
it,
flip.
I mean, when you go back and watch it, the tail of his car started wiggling a little bit right before he gets loose, and he goes to block Hamilton the first time, and he does okay.
Yep.
He goes to block him the second time coming out of turn 2,
Mhm.
and that's when it was on. And when it was on like Donkey Kong.
And they said coming out of the corner like that, there's just not room for 4 wide. The way they were racing, anyways.
No.
Because Labonte was, I mean, he was nearly touching the wall, and like you said, he was, which that's getting kind of scary. I mean, you're literally wiggling,
Mhm.
going 200 miles an hour, and you got 3 other cars below you, and that's just, I mean, it led to something worse. But
Mhm.
when he just, it looked like, I'm sure Labonte didn't know. I mean, there's got to be a million things going through his mind right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm either fixing a wreck, or I'm okay, or I'm fixing to fall back, and it's just,
I don't think he knew what hit him, to be honest.
he's kind of along for the ride after that.
And then Ricky Craven gets a piece of it. It was actually, so Labonte comes low, and he gets into the right front of, right across the nose of Bobby Hamilton, and then he catches Ricky Craven. Ricky Craven spins, and then the one who took the hardest hit that we're going to show you here right now, check it out, Johnny Benson, raw footage in car, when he hit that wall, it looked like his car just imploded when he hit the wall. The impact, I mean, watching it on a big screen, I mean, think about this. He's going 200 miles an hour when he hit that wall.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, you can almost feel it just watching it. Just check it out.
Johnny Benson. Oh. I mean, all you're worried about all this time, what Johnny's worried about is somebody hitting him.
I don't know about you, but I mean, that hurts.
I mean, you said 200 miles an hour, and you, like, I don't think he even had time to think, like, what was happening. I mean, he's head on into the wall like that, and watching the impact. Like we said, and I think everybody else knew it, Johnny Benson took the hardest hit out of everybody. Labonte's car was totaled for sure, but just, man, into the wall like that is, like, you can't beat that. That's probably the worst way to crash.
After the race, now Ricky Craven was actually, injured before this race. He was getting over an injury, and he had suffered, a really bad wreck, at Talladega.
Yeah.
But Ricky Craven, he gets out of the car and he goes right to the ground. Bobby Labonte, he gets out of the car. He's walking around fine. Benson's okay. Sterling Marlin, a shot of his in car, he actually goes through the wreck, and then he comes across Buckshot Jones before he comes to arrest. And Sterling Marlin in his interview was none too happy either. And the only thing he kept saying was, they got to fix it.
Yeah.
They just got to fix it. He said, but they don't want to do nothing about it. And you can just hear the frustration on him. He says, well, you guys tell me what you think. Here's what Sterling Marlin had to say.
They got to separate the cars somehow, but it's up to them. I guess we do what we done again. Daytona, wreck them all again.
And honestly, and looking back, and now it's a much different world now, but I mean, I can see their frustration. As a fan, I loved it. As a fan, even going back and watching it.
If you were on that back stretch where those stands were and you seen that, that was like you wish you could relive it again.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean, as a driver, I'm sure that was. I mean, because Talladega and Daytona, I think twice a year
Mm-hmm.
during that time period, and you got to go through that twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
At Daytona and Talladega, so I definitely don't blame him, but I will say that type of racing was so much better
Mm-hmm.
at super speedways than it is now. But
Well,
I mean,
they asked Ricky Rudd about it, and Ricky Rudd he had a nice comment to say about it.
Well, I guess probably the best way for me to put it is if you can't say something nice, better off not saying anything at all. So what else you want to talk about?
Somebody says if you can't say nothing nice, don't say anything at all. I mean,
that's about as simple as you can get
But
in that scenario.
so, what did you think, though? I mean, okay, the racing was great. Everybody loves a good crash. Do you understand people's frustration with it?
Yeah, I mean, if I was in the 18 or the 10 of Johnny Benson, I mean, I would be like, I'd be fed up with it. Like, that your racing is your job and stuff, and I mean, you do it, every weekend, but you also want to be safe while you do it too.
Mhm.
And safety was a huge thing going on in that time period. And they were, trying to make new improvements, and I mean, they still are. But I mean, I would, I as a fan, I love super speedways, I always will.
Right.
But as a driver, I'd be nervous every time I went to a super speedway. But I don't blame Benson or Labonte or I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of his name. But all those
What car?
drivers, huh?
What car are you thinking of?
The man, Ricky Rudd.
Oh, yeah.
Ricky Rudd. I don't blame him for being mad at all
Mhm.
for all that stuff. And Junior, I mean, what's your opinion on though, Junior? Do you think because he was always pretty good at super speedways, but do you think he like was always nervous going into a super speedway?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think all of them's nervous going
Mhm.
into it. I mean, it's literally a game of roulette, and I'm not even talking about back then. Even now, and now it's probably about 10 times worse
Mhm.
because they're running. I mean, back then 4 wide, everybody's getting excited. Now they're running 4 wide for 20 or 30 laps at Talladega.
If somebody makes one mistake in the front of the pack, mid pack, maybe the back of the pack,
Mhm.
you're just like there's nothing you can do for sure.
Rusty Wallace gave an opinion on how they could have fixed this, and it was all about car setup. And it was very interesting what he had to say.
Just going back to the original rules, doing a 55 or 60-degree rear spoiler, that won't let the cars draft as tight, but it'll still be a good draft, enough to put on a great show, and the cars won't be so bumper to bumper, and I don't think you see all this blocking going on.
I think, in all honesty, car setup should come down to it because the way that they would set these up, and of course, we got this at auction, Circle B diecast, hashtag
Not a sponsor.
thank you. But this was actually Bobby Labonte's car from that race. But, they wanted to increase this rear spoiler. And, I think, and basically it would have made the car harder to drive.
Yeah.
And what was making everybody so mad was they were so desperate to make the cars so equal. And with those cars being equal, it was going to keep everybody right there together. Make the spoiler higher, make the cars harder to drive. That way you're going to get all the drivers that can't handle it, you're going to get that out of the way pretty early.
And I could see where they're coming from. Plus, those guys, I mean, they wanted anything, even if it was just a little bit, to help
Mhm.
the, I guess, racing and try to make it somewhat safer and more different than what they had. And I mean, yeah, I could say it. I would have to fully understand it. If I'm being honest, I'd have to do a little more research on it.
Mhm.
But I mean, yeah, I definitely see where they're coming from.
Well, if there's one thing we'll never do here on Speedway Nostalgia is if we Monday morning quarterback, it's probably going to be for fun because here's my thing. I'm not out there in the car.
No.
And
Yeah,
even when I was a teenager, I used to say that a lot of people would, they would talk about, this person did this person did that, and things. My outlook on it was I'm not in the car. I mean, I can sit there in my, in the comfort of my rocking chair and make calls about a race all day long. But these guys are doing it. But at the same time, I could see NASCAR's stance on it. Car, a lot of people say, and this was peak NASCAR right here in 2001. I mean, NASCAR was at its peak. NASCAR was awesome. I mean, it still is, I get frustrated now. I disagree when a lot of people online, they say, it's trash now or, it's garbage now, or I don't, I question their fandom because when, we was listening to Sirius XM yesterday after the race
Mhm.
and, a lot of your callers that were calling in, those are the fans I appreciate because those are longtime fans.
Yeah, everyone of
But
you could tell.
and they're still watching.
Yeah.
You know, and here's my thing. Now, irritates me with what they do now. They are gimmicky, but at the same time, it's our sport. You know, it's my sport, and I support it, and I'm always going to. And you know, they do everything they can to bring us entertainment.
Yeah.
And I support that. I think sometimes they're gimmicky. I think some of their choices are very poor choices, but they're still, you know, that's the sport I grew up on, and that's the sport that, you know, that ultimately is a sport that brought me and my dad close. And you know, that's kind of what, you know, it's kind of our thing too, you know. So NASCAR is more than just cars going around in circles.
Yeah.
And it's moments like this, you know, that I relive. This was the first race my dad ever took me to. And here we are, what, 24 years later? No, 25, almost 25 years later. And we're sitting here talking about it because it was such an epic crash. I mean, this wreck was insane.
And wrecks like this is what makes, you know, those big highlights. And that's what, when people see that, they're like, okay, this is actually kind of cool, even though the drivers didn't think so. But, like when people see crashes like that versus now, I guess they wish it increases they wish they could still have that around.
Yeah.
Now there's still some pretty big crashes, don't get me wrong, but I mean, yeah, I agree. Crashes like that are, I mean, just huge, and people don't forget about them either.
No. And in case you have forgot about them, we're going to show you multiple angles from this wreck. And I also want you to develop an opinion. The things I want you to kind of tell us about. Should Stewart have went with Labonte? Would we have a completely different outcome of that? Oh, I know we'd have a different outcome, but
Yeah.
Stewart decided to go with Junior. Should he have stayed with his teammate, or should he have gone for the win? I also want to know, what was your thoughts on this crash? Do you remember it? And anything that could have been done different. Most of all, I want you to like, I want you to subscribe, and I want you to jump on this Speedway nostalgia journey for us. So we're going to leave you with multiple angles of this wreck. We thank you for tuning in this week, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. You be good.
You be better.
And you be best. And we'll catch you next week on Speedway Nostalgia. See you then.
Labonte blocks Bobby Hamilton. Cannot believe the Toyota.
Contact! Bobby Labonte's over. It's the big wreck on the final lap. They're racing back for the win. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Tony Stewart are side by side.
We see Bobby Hamilton, the 55 car, trying to get on the outside of Bobby Labonte. Labonte comes back down the hill, and now all of a sudden they're 4 wide. And Hamilton gets in the left rear of Bobby Labonte's car, and we see the car start tumbling down the backstretch.